And then let me share with people. I know you should just share with just with me. Look, everyone make nachos for us. All right, Elsie.
Hello. I said,
Nice
wow,
to see you on our weekly talk. So
yeah, no, I don't have much going on today, but yeah.
You don't have the internet?
So, yeah, no, like my Wi-Fi, like, so I have the cable, phone, internet, through, my Optimum provider, and all of that is down. Everything's down right now. So, like, my
everything's down.
Phone, yeah, my house phone doesn't work.
Because of the
TV
storm?
doesn't work. Yeah, so I didn't think it was that bad, but apparently it was that bad because, like, there's, trees knocked down all over the place. People, losing service. Originally, like, my mother-in-law's service was gone, but then I was able to help her get it back in her area, which is only a couple of blocks away from us. But then now today, our shit went haywire. So who knows? They say it's because of the storm. I just think, Optimum is fucking up. But, who knows? Who knows? Who knows?
Yeah. Well, okay. Well, first we got to tell you happy birthday.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Did you enjoy yourself?
Yeah, no. So just, it was, I would say it was a little bit bittersweet just because, even though I like being in the house and whatnot, there's certain times where I don't like to be in the house.
Right.
It's just one of those times. And I guess technically I could have gone somewhere, but then it doesn't feel right. You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't feel, right just being, just in public around, because like certain places are trying to do the socially distancing thing right. Other places are not. Like I saw a couple of restaurants where it's like, yeah, we're sitting outside. I'm like, yeah, but everybody's still like right next to each other. So I don't really think that helps. So
yeah, I don't feel like totally comfortable. Like, it's like I can't. I'm doing like you can like sitting on the deck with some friends kind of stuff now. And even they, as soon as I do something like that, they'll say 4 people got together for dinner and they dead, something. I'm like, right. Oh God, and I'm like, okay, even that. But I'm like, you need to take care of your mental health as well as your physical. And I'm like, I do need people. I'm a person who's social. So I thought just a little socially distancing cocktails and stuff would work, but I don't know.
It's funny because, I'll see people, on the timeline and whatnot. And like, yeah, they're with their group of friends and I guess they're apart from everybody else. But the thing is, unless you really like live in the house with somebody, you kind of don't even know how your friends are getting down.
You really don't know. And then that shit, they'll just break it down like, oh yeah, well, I'm doing this and I'm doing that. And I'm like, for real? That's what I'm saying. You could still socially distance with friends though. You could still, I don't need to be all up on people anyway.
Right. You just say like, I can see you over there. It's like, hey man.
Yeah, you sit on that side of the deck. I sit on this side,
Absolutely.
But I did get my hair, I was cut some off. And my stylist is one of my closest friends, but I was desperate. I'm like, I don't know. I just got to take care of something.
No, but, my wife is getting dreads. So during the first couple of months of the quarantine, she wasn't really able to, go to her loctician and get things like, retightened and twisted and everything like that. So the millisecond they put something back on the calendar, she's like, oh, gotta go. Gotta get it done.
No, that was actually one of my questions this week on Randi B. I was like, what do y'all miss getting? Because I have like, one of my best girlfriends is like, I just want my toes done. If I could just get my feet done, I'd be good, right? Everyone has their things they're like, I gotta get like handled. But my hair is it. I don't have to ever get my nails or nothing done again, but my hair, like as far as, I just like it off of me now. It's funny, I never had short hair it back in the day, but now I just don't like a whole lot of hair.
It seems like you just want to be on the move. So it's like get it nice done, and then just be out. Like
just go. Yes. I see how you like the easy way to do hair too.
Hey, look, it's not much going on. It's not much going on with me. So I just shave the whole thing off and then keep it moving.
Okay, so this week not a whole lot happened, but your boy Biden. Oh wait, we got to do this announcement first. We are voting for Biden. We are voting for whoever they put up against Trump. Both of us understand that. To me, people who think, we think in complex ways. You can have an issue with something somebody does or says and still be pro them. Because you know how people are, right? They think you got to be all one way or all the other. So before we start the conversation, I just wanted to say that everybody here, relax. All right.
Why won't Biden just stop talking?
Right.
Just like if it's almost as if he could be mute and just like kind of just make his way to the election, but he just takes it upon himself to just have all of these hot takes, and of course she's very disrespectful.
Okay, it's disrespectful. As a matter of fact, she thinks you should thank her for being in the video. Sorry,
yeah, but it's like depending on who he's talking to, he'll try pandering, but then it'll be pandering that'll just insult somebody else along the way. And it's just like, all right, so he was talking to some Latino journalists,
right?
And then I think it's like I'm still paraphrasing, but I'm trying to get it as accurate as I can, because that's how preposterous the statement was. He was like, I don't know if a lot of people know this, but unlike the African American community, the Latino community is very diverse.
Right.
Whereas you'll have like somebody in Florida will be different from somebody in Texas. And I'm just like, unlike the African American community. And then he'll loop back later and say, hey, I wasn't trying to insinuate that black people are a monolith. No, that's literally what you said. That's verbatim what you said. You literally just said, unlike us, because we're not as diverse as these other people. And it's like, dude, first off, you haven't even gotten into the Afro-Latino part of the conversation. That's something that'll go way over Joe Biden's head. You're not even part of that conversation right there. But it's like to even insinuate, it's like, listen, it's amazing in 2020, we still have to have conversations about the fact that black people are not a monolith. But then again, it goes specifically to the fact that all we do is give Democrats our votes. They don't consider who we really are as people. They don't really consider what we really care about. They just think that they could just make these blanket statements, these bullshit blanket agendas, and then just push whatever it is out to us, and we're just going to go for it regardless. When they're not even really listening.
But LC, this year they're right, because I don't give a damn what they say.
And you and I have had this conversation before, and it's like, that's the fucked up part. Is that like
that's the fucked up part?
Like you're stuck between a rock and a hard place, because it's just like, I really can't vote for this crazy reality show, motherfucker. But then,
who's racist?
but then you have the guy who's supposed to be the savior, he spends more time explaining some bullshit he said than just making valid points. Right. There's no time that Joe Biden doesn't go out in public and say something that he immediately doesn't have to do some type of cleanup. So what does it say about you that every single time you open your mouth, you then have to go explain what you just said?
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm just like, I wish that his people would just limit the public speeches he does, just like no interviews, because he doesn't need them. We have placed ourselves in a situation again in America, unfortunately, where he's our only choice, honestly. And so he, and that's fine. And don't get me wrong, I think this is what I think about Biden. I think actually Biden represents the majority of white people. And I wrote about this week on Randi B, that we start learning about them, white people, early on. Black people, just to survive in America, you don't even know you're doing it. You learn how to like make it in their world. And they don't have to learn a damn thing about us. It's fine. And you see that when you watch shows like Jeopardy and they don't know like the most basic of answers. There'll be like Michael Jackson up there, like off the wall album. They'd be like, no idea, Alex.
But they
like,
know some mineral. But they know some mineral that like exists on like 2 countries on the planet.
Exactly.
But you don't know who sang off the wall. Like,
they don't exactly. And so I'm like, just don't speak on it. Like if people could just like don't just listen, ask questions, and just say like, don't speak on it. Like stop speaking on shit that you don't really know about. But that's kind of an arrogance when you think you know everything, but you don't.
But it's a couple things going on, I feel like, with Biden. Number one, he makes statements that it's very obvious, like you say, he doesn't really know shit about black people. Because you can go back to him saying to Charlemagne, if you don't vote for me, you ain't black. Bruh, slow down. This number one. Number two, this statement here that he just made about us not being as diverse as the Latino community. That's number two. But in number three, I feel like in his mind, he gives himself a pass, and to a certain degree, a number of us give him this pass too, just because of his proximity to Obama. And it's just like, Obama don't give you no pass to say the dumb shit that you say. Obama don't give you no pass.
I do think Obama is a part of it. I do think that he thinks that he could say what Obama used to say.
But the thing is, Obama never said no shit about us not being as diverse as the Latino community.
Exactly, but I'm saying I think he feels.
I know what you mean.
Yeah, but it's like people who dated. People who like have dated a black person or been with a black person, they feel like they can say whatever the fuck they want to say because they're like, oh, but my boyfriend is black. No, but you can't say what he could say.
I don't know if you've ever seen.
Can you hear me? I had to move because my internet was not stable outside.
Yeah, no, I can hear, but
You're frozen.
To that point, I am right now. Wow. Okay.
LC.
I'm here.
There you are.
All right. Yeah, no, what I was saying is like, I don't know if you've ever seen Bamboozle, the movie Bamboozle. And it is a Spike Lee movie from I think about 2000 or something like that.
Oh, I've probably seen it then.
But then I remember like Damon Wayans was working for this television network, and this white woman was telling him about what they think black people want on television, and he was just like, just because you fucked a couple black guys in college doesn't make you a scholar on African American studies. And it's just like, yeah, like your proximity to black people, even if because you hear sometimes too, I can't be racist. I have black children, or I can't be racist. I'm married to a black person, or etc. Listen, I don't care what your proximity is to black people. That doesn't make you a scholar. That doesn't make you knowledgeable. You can empathize. You can 1000% empathize. And that's honestly a lot of times what we're asking for. We're asking you for empathy that can then be turned into systemic and legislative change. That's what we're asking for. But don't go around acting as if you really know who we are as people. And every single time Biden opens his mouth, he speaks as if he like knows us better than us. Like, you're gonna go. First off, just think about how nuts this is. A white guy is telling a Latino reporter about the diversity in the black community. That's just the most preposterous thing I've ever heard in my life, bro. What the fuck? Like, first off, I saw a tweet from somebody that said, it's like, it's almost as if he doesn't know that like he could just shut the fuck up and win. It's just
right. Like, no, it's like he doesn't know he could. I literally tell my kids, like, I'm gonna give you a clue. It'd be smart just to shut the fuck up right now. Like sometimes it's just okay to shut the fuck up and just not say a word, because there's no win. Well, he's gonna win if he would be quiet. He's gonna win, hopefully. God, Lord, have mercy, regardless. But I just wish he'd be quiet.
It's the same thing. I mean, it's the same way that I always use this example. It's like, I would never sit around like the equivalent of what Joe Biden did was if I'm sitting down with a woman reporter and he's like, well, you know, in the trans community, man, like, you know, they do this or they do that. First off, I'm
Right.
talking to what are you doing? Like,
right.
You can't do that. You literally can't do that. Don't speak on things you don't know, and then turn around and then tell us that I'm your only hope. I'm your only hope. And the sad thing is, in a lot of ways, he's correct. But it's like this is why they get to put
Be
out bullshit
mediocre.
agendas
Right.
or put out no agenda at all, because they know it's like, he's like, hey, what are you gonna do? Like it's like that old song, you can get with this or you can get with that. Like, what do you want? What do you want?
Really, honestly, he should just do that. That should be his campaign slogan. Right there, you just came up with it. That should be his campaign slogan. You can get with this or you can get with that. And don't say another thing, and that's it. You know, that's it right there. That's brilliant.
Because and the thing about it is, he doesn't even understand is that, like, every single time he does this, like the first thing that I saw, a Trump tweet, he's like, Crooked Joe just lost the entire black vote. You know, just like, he's like, you can't be African American now and vote for Joe. And it's just like, see, you're giving him talking points. And I guarantee all of this stuff is going to come up. All of this stuff is going to come up when you guys start debating. And it's easy points because you have made it easy for people to look at you crazy.
And if he's smart, I hope that he says, this is what people pay me to give them the advice. Just say you made a mistake and you didn't know what you were saying. Don't try to explain it when it's really jacked up. Just say, I fucked up. I messed up. I didn't know what I was saying. I was uncomfortable and I said some raggedy stuff. And seriously, we as Black people will respect him more than if he tries to make sense of it. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, sometimes you just need to say, own it. But I have one question for you. Do you feel that Obama or somebody Black should talk to him and like say, yo, you my guy, but you need to stop talking about this, or let me explain this to you? Like, should Black people teach white people or non-Black people when they're saying silly stuff? If you feel that their intentions are good, but they're just saying silly stuff, should we as a community educate white people or non-Black people? Because I'm getting that question a lot since, you know, George Floyd's murder. And, you know, white people and non-Black people are coming up to Black people and asking questions or wanting, and Black people are like, I don't feel like being a teacher. But I don't know. What's your opinion? Should we be responsible for teaching?
Okay, so I'm gonna answer this two ways. In regards to Biden.
Yeah.
First, starting with Biden, I would like to believe that behind closed doors, I'm pretty sure people are telling him, bro, stop. Like,
I don't know. Okay,
I would
let me say
like
this.
to believe.
No, let me say this. This is one thing, and I don't want to offend anybody, but I probably will. I find that white people hire Black people who make them feel very comfortable in their whiteness and do not challenge anything they do. And so oftentimes, you know, they're the people who white people find the most acceptable. So those people don't question, and really sometimes don't even seem to get the mess ups that white people do. Does that make sense? It's like when white people hire non-Black people of all races, it's a person usually that makes them feel comfortable in their whiteness, does not challenge them, does not make them feel weird, or, you know, so it's the closest to white they can get in some ways, right? And so sometimes that looks like colorism, but sometimes that just looks like personality, background, all that stuff. And these people don't check white people. Like, you know what I mean? Like, yes, you know, and so they'll try to brag like, oh, I have this Black person advising me. And I'm like, yeah, but
I guess for me, I would like to, I mean, and maybe this is just me being, you know, optimistic and hopeful, but I would like to think that, I mean, you could debate whether him and Obama are close friends or whatever, but I would like to think that Obama is just like sometimes like, hey, Joe, come on, man. You know what I mean? Like, come on. I would like to think, because I mean, if there's anybody who probably has or who Joe might have enough deference for, maybe, would be the guy who was, you know, who superseded him previously. maybe that's just me being optimistic. Maybe that's just me being
No,
hopeful.
I
I would
hope
like
right.
to think that there's one person, at least, of like Obama just saying like, bro, shut up. You know, I would, or explain like, let me explain to you why everything you just said was stupid, right? But so there's that. But then for everybody else, I understand both sides of the argument. I understand Black people saying it ain't my job to teach you, go learn on your own kind of thing, right? But on the same token, and people can disagree with me if they want to, but on the same token, it's weird to be like, hey, why don't you guys learn about what we're saying? I'm not going to help you though, but you know, we want you to be allies for the things that matter to us. I'm not going to tell you about any of them though. like go figure it out, you know, for yourself. And in some cases, like, yeah, there's some people who are a lot more belligerent in terms of not being able to identify with, you know, issues that concern us. On the other hand, like I said, it's like I saw this firsthand, especially even way back in my boarding school days. Sometimes people just weren't as malicious as it came off.
Absolutely not.
Like where, like people really don't know sometimes. Like they really do not know.
White people get mad at me when I write these articles about how uninformed they are, but I'm really trying to save them because I really try to explain to my brothers and sisters, because we know so much about them, it seems unbelievable, but I'm like, they don't like, know
no,
about us.
We're really actually out here trying to shoot you some bail. Like instead of saying that you're just a fucking ignorant, no, we're trying to say that it's like, you know what? You guys aren't, you know, knowledgeable about certain things, or because it can come two ways. A, not being exposed to, you know, Black people previously, because in a lot of cases, like I said, I bring up boarding school a lot because to this point, even more so than corporate America, boarding school was the whitest place I've ever been in my life, right? So A, I'm learning that in a lot of cases, I was the first Black person that they literally were sitting next to on a regular basis. Yeah. So there's that part of it. Then there's the other part of it where they're probably getting told all types of bullshit at home by parents, grandparents, etc. So they just have all of these preconceived notions and misconceptions about us that don't come from actual interaction.
Well, and can I add a third thing?
Go ahead, sure.
When they do hang around Black people, when Black people are in their presence, I would say the vast majority of us don't give them the full us, right? So, you know, when we talk about code switching, we give them, you know, Randi light most of the time. I'm consistent. Like they get this, right? But I'm saying that most Black people, they go and the white people around them have no idea who they really are. And they could spend hours with them. I mean, they go to lunch every day, they hang out, and they really don't know these people. And so that's another thing. They think they know, but they really don't know. And so they don't learn sometimes through those relationships.
You know, it's funny, like, of course, like the phrase code switching is used a lot. Like my boy Fabian used to call it the crossover dribble. Like, you know, we very good at crossing over to just like, you know, like I remember like when I used to work for Citigroup back in the day, I remember like one of the first bosses I had was just like, you know, Lawrence is very quiet. And it's like the fact that you use quiet and me in the same sentence means you don't know me at all, bro. Like right. I'm actually censoring everything about myself in here. Just as like, listen, I'm gonna get this check. And
we're always standoffish. They, you know, at work they always call us standoffish. We know we get to know people more. It's like, no, you don't understand. We're not standoffish. We're like, if you saw us in other settings, a lot of us are super social. And that's another thing I've been training people. We don't trust you. Like we have a generational 400-year relationship passed down and down that a lot of Black people do not trust white people enough to show them all of who they are.
And it's funny. It's funny you say that too, because like a long time ago, maybe about two, maybe 3 years ago, I wrote a post about I think it was around the time Charlottesville happened, and I was basically saying that like why like a lot of times it is hard for us to trust, because sometimes even when we do, you know, open ourselves up, it's like sometimes a lot of times we just get let down. And I gave an example a guy that I went to high school with, where like if you asked me any point in time, I was like, this is one of my closest friends. I ended up getting into a college that he applied to, he didn't get into. Then I overheard him telling another white guy that I only got in because of affirmative action. And now I thought that this guy, I honestly believe that this guy was one of my close friends. He said I only got in from affirmative action, neglecting the fact that I had a higher GPA than him, neglecting the fact that I played like 3 varsity sports. I was like the leader of like 2 different on-campus groups. I'm just like, no, bro, I'm doper than you. I am. I'm better than you at this stuff. Like, but then it just got reduced down to that, and it's just like it completely changed my perception of things, because like at the time I'm like 16, 17, and it's just like you want to be trusting, you want to believe that, you know, people can see things outside of, you know, their own bias. And then it's just like, man, it's a hard slap in the face. A cold glass of water gets splashed in your face. So it's like, yeah, that's why, like, when going back to the code switching you're talking about, where you don't give everybody all of you, because then it's just like, man, I don't know what you're gonna do with that if I do. Like, are you then gonna then turn around and then, you know, make an enemy of me because something didn't go your way or something along those lines? It's you know, sucks.
It's gonna take a minute. Or trusting that they'll be accepting, like, you know, particularly, you know, that hell, that's the reason why Randi B started. Like, you talk about a Black issue, all of a sudden you're radical and angry. And I'm like, hell, life is good, right? But I am concerned about my people and the way we're treated in this country. And I'm going to do everything I can to the day I die to try to fucking fix it, right? And that doesn't mean that I'm radical. That means I want equal rights. I mean, you know, it's like what you saw with Kaepernick. Okay, did you see that Nike commercial where they're switching back the Nike commercial, the latest one? Mm-hmm. That to me is brilliant. But I'm like, you know, if they just let that brother kneel, but they made him out to be this person who was ready to shoot up people just because he was kneeling. And so, you know, if we could stop like criminalizing Black and loving Blackness so much, it would be so dope. It's interesting. I've been, you know, doing all these trainings these last month. And a couple of times, you know, because people are working from home, they've had on pride shirts and stuff. And I was like, Black people have never had the freedom until now. I think people feel free now to show and wear t-shirts and stuff. Like, we kind of had it with Wakanda, but that was pretend, so we could get away with it. But, right. You know, we very rarely went around with, you know, t-shirts stating our opinions about things or whatever, because it was seen as radical. Like, it's funny because I've always worn these t-shirts forever. I have like collections. People send them to me. And now I'm seeing my friends who would like look at me like, girl, they got them all on now because it's in, which is another subject we got to eventually talk about. Is when I talk about the Black Lives Matter movement and I'm talking about trending, it's not just white people. I'm talking about Black people. Suddenly Black people are woke all of a sudden. And I mean, that's good, but like, is it here to stay? Y'all rolling with a sister and a brother or what?
No, when I say I hate it, because it's you mentioned Kaepernick, and it's like everybody is kneeling now, and it's like this man literally lost his career for kneeling, and everybody is kneeling now, and it's just like, but then mind you, he still hasn't gotten his career back.
No,
he still hasn't gotten it back.
He never will.
And then Kaepernick to me has always been whether I don't, you know, what you can debate if, you know, every single viewpoint he has is fleshed out, et cetera, because nobody's perfect in those regards. But to me, Kaepernick is a lightning rod for people's hypocrisy, because in the wake of George Floyd, when people were in the streets pissed off, you saw a whole bunch of people saying, like, why don't they just protest peacefully? That's what the fuck Kaepernick did for the whole goddamn time.
That's what a lot of people been doing.
And you kicked him out the league for it. You kicked him out the league for peacefully protesting. And now that you're going back saying, why don't you just peacefully protest? Because you don't like it when we do that either.
You don't pay attention anyway. Yeah, you fight, like, yeah, you publicly, you publicly lynched him. Like, it was like a public hanging is what I wrote about. So everybody would see it. This is what happens should you try to get equal rights. This is what will happen to you. You will lose your job. And let me say this. If you don't think that that is how the majority of Black people feel, I mean, when like I first started this thing and I'm writing, and I'm sure you've had this too, I would have friends text me like, Randy, I saw your article. Now, they don't officially like my page or follow shit that I knew of because they're so worried because they've made it. And I'm like, if you made it, you wouldn't be so worried about doing that shit, but okay. They're so like, oh, yes, you do. So they don't follow me and I'm radical, whatever. They don't officially, but they unofficially, so no one could ever track that they follow me because Black wasn't in, because Black was not in then, even for Black people, some Black people. And they would text me. They would text me comments about issues I had written about. I'm like, wow, this is really mind-blowing that my sisters and brothers don't even feel comfortable liking the page. I didn't say you got to write anything, just liking it, because saying that I love Black people and that we should be aware and united and I love us was like seen as very radical. And I'm like, wow, it's interesting, but it's the same way now. I mean, and it's understandable because people getting in trouble for wearing a Black Lives Matter mask. So,
I mean, listen, we're talking about a society where they've literally made laws making it illegal for us to have certain type of hair.
Yep.
So it's like, having like dreads in the workplace. Like, I remember the Supreme Court literally held up employers' rights to basically discriminate against you for your hair doing what it does. And it's like, so that's why, like, it's understandable when, people are scared to go on certain ledges, because it's like, man, this could have real ramifications on my career. Because it's like, listen,
I get it. I totally understood it, but it was striking to me, right? It was
because like, you take somebody like we talked about Nick Cannon before, and it's just like, regardless of what you think about what he said, because like, when you look at some more of the stuff of what he said outside of the piece that you and I talked about, I can understand why they weren't thrilled with Nick. But on the same token, you saw how quickly he apologized.
Before you could wake up in the morning, and how quickly he was cut off.
You saw how quickly that apology came. It was like, oh, look, I got to fix this now because I need this job. It's rough out here, which is like, it's, I don't know, for me to a certain degree, and I'm not saying this because I'm special or anything like that. Like, I guess I came from the mind state of, I'm just going to put everything out there in the beginning, so nobody can then turn around later on and say that, whoa, something changed with LC. He's talking this way now. It's like, no, I've been doing that, the whole time. So if you rock with me, then you do. If you don't, that's cool too. But like, I don't want to present myself in any other way other than a full view of what it is. Just so like,
I don't think anyone knows me and knows I'm not down. One other thing, I want to talk to you quickly. Did you see Black is King yet?
I have. My wife would not let me go without watching it. So yes,
and definitely have. Because I watched it because I wanted to see it, but I also wanted to write about it. Like, I can't write about this. This is it. There's not words. To me, it was just majestic. It was magnificent. Like, it was just and there were so many statements. Like, there could be a book to the symbolism that's throughout that thing. I gotta watch it again.
Okay. So here we are.
You didn't like it?
No, I did. I'm gearing up to piss off a certain section of
Don't have the beehive coming after us now. Don't have the beehive.
No. It's
all right. We can take on a lot of things, but not the beehive.
No, it's actually like, I've seen so many think pieces about. I've seen people say that Beyonce was exploiting Africa. I've seen think pieces about how, from like a monetary standpoint, like it's draped in imperialism and capitalism. And I've seen a couple of scenes where, you know, some of the costumes that she's wearing, I've seen, you know, the Christian delegation call her demonic. And it's just that, like, to me, and listen, I'm no expert in anything, right? But I feel like a lot of these criticisms come from a place of Black people not knowing Black history. And what I mean by that is, for example, right? There was one costume in particular, I don't remember what color it was or anything like that, but like there were horns on it that Beyonce that was wearing on her head.
Oh, yeah.
And people said that she was dressing up like the devil, neglecting the fact that there were literally parts of, you know, our heritage, our religions before Christianity and Islam and all of them came, where we're literally dressed like African gods.
Right.
That's number one. So, A, you making a statement like that shows that you are not privy to what Black history was before whatever was placed upon us, if you will.
Yep.
Number two, when you see, you know, her dressed in certain types of fabrics, or there's a certain amount of decadence, and people are criticizing that, to me, without them even realizing it, you're feeding into the idea that we always have to show Africa from an impoverished place. And it's like, listen, you do know that Africa is not just 100% fucking huts and, you know, mud and people with flies. And the thing about it is, you guys want to talk about capitalism and imperialism. No, actually, the picture that you're depicting is based upon what was told to us about what Africa was this entire time.
Well, this is the thing. You know, I tell people, you know, I've been blessed enough to go to Africa a few times, not as many times as I want to. And as soon as I can, I will be back to some parts of it. But the very first time I went to Africa, I went to East Africa and went to Kenya, that area. And like when she's showing, you know, Tanzania, and I took an air balloon, and you see, it looked like that. I mean, like tears were streaming down my face because I was like, of course, about overwhelmed by the beauty, but also just angry at the lies that I had been told and fed my whole life. Because I'm like, oh my gosh. Same thing when you go to Ghana, like I'm in Ghana, West Africa, and I'm sitting up in clubs. I'm talking 3-story nightclubs that are gorgeous, all Black people, Black owners, Black everything. And I mean, gorgeous. Like, and I'm like, you know, staying in a 5-star hotel. Are there poor parts? Yes, just like up the street, like, you know, just like everywhere in America. But I'm like, we have been so lied to. So I was so happy that she brought that back, you know, and she did to me show some like middle class, you know, Black neighborhoods, but she showed the grandeur as they do when they show any other country. Africa's a continent, you know, any other country they like to show. So I was thankful for her. I think anytime we can show people from where we come, because we were taught purposefully and strategically to think we came from shit and squalor.
See, like, so, and to further to that point, like, listen, music and film is subjective. So, like, I'm not telling you to like the songs. I'm not telling you to like the storyline. You can do that, but the idea that certain things are either, you know, demonic or aren't, you know, an accurate depiction of things, it's just like, no, you're actually showing that you're not as knowledgeable. Sometimes woke Black people be the worst. Like, where it's just that the thing is, because here's the thing, when you're woke, right, what set of information is your wokeness based on?
Right, just like anything.
Because you're coming from a standpoint of what was presented to us. And like I said, I'm not telling you to not be Christian. I'm not telling you to not be, you know, Muslim. I'm not telling you, because, you know, we even got my Black Jews out there with this Black Hindus out there. Be whatever you want. But the thing is, please also be aware of the fact that there were things in this world before they existed. And we were of a certain stature, of a certain level before all of this existed. Our history does not start in the diaspora. It doesn't start at the diaspora.
Right.
So please do not base your criticism on what you know from the diaspora up until now. If you haven't done any research about what we were before we were stolen, please save your opinion.
That's very true. And the thing is, it's like, and we're all always learning, because I'm always like researching and learning and getting better. And I try to be patient, even just to be clear, with people who are newly woke. Kitty cat is tripping me out.
That's my other one now.
That's the other one.
They're both trying to get in on this. Like,
oh yeah. But they're gonna be running royalties and stuff. I tell them we don't make no money from this stuff. We don't make no money, kitty cats.
Yeah, no.
I forgot what I was saying, but when people say being newly woke, I'm happy for anybody who's learning, and I really try not to be that type of place that is like, you don't know this or whatever. I was just saying I was shocked at the pressure. I didn't realize, even though I was living it myself to an extent. I was shocked at how much of us felt pressure to not even like certain pages or show our Blackness in any way. You know, we just were very quiet about it. I mean, I have a lot of Black friends who are very successful who are not on Facebook, period, just for that. They don't want their white colleagues to be able to look them up and know anything about their personal lives. Yeah. I mean, I would say at least 1/4 of my friends, or they will not be friends. They're like, girl, how is my, colleague gonna ask me to be Facebook friends? Absolutely not. Because there's this, I don't want you to know all this about me. And that's a shame that we have to feel we have to hide ourselves. You laugh because it sounds familiar?
It's laughing because it's true, but it also reminds me of something like slightly different in the sense that like there's certain family members I won't follow because like, hey, I'm cussing on here. I don't want y'all to hear that.
Absolutely. We have to call our Facebook page. Well, listen, I know you're on your phone. It's harder. You don't have internet. So I just appreciate you joining us for just a little bit today.
Of course. And I'm glad you brought up the Beyonce topic too, because I was going to say something about it, then I forgot. So we brought it back up again. But I remember the one thing that was on my mind was Joe Biden. I was like, God, shut up, please.
Gotta talk about Joe Biden. I think that's it. Oh, only one thing I wanted to say. The schools, you know how the girl took a picture of the schools in Georgia and how crowded the hallways were.
And they suspended her.
It reminded me of like racism. You know, when we speak up, those person like, you got to get kicked out and punished for.
But the thing is though, is like, and to your point, it is exactly what it is, because they didn't suspend her for what we really know it was about. They found certain parts of the rule. It was like, oh, we suspended her because she was using her phone in the hallway. Bitch, you know that's not why you suspended her.
Exactly. Everybody's using their phone. Yeah. I thought that was so funny. Like, they shut it down, but now she's not suspended.
Because they know, because word got out and it's just like, really? So you suspended them for exposing the truth? That's how that goes.
But that is life.
Last thing, I don't know if you saw it yet. I literally just saw it today. If you guys haven't seen it, I'm hyped for it. Even though I wrote a piece before about Daniel Kaluuya's comments about race, I didn't like the fact that he tried to distance himself from it before. But either way, I saw the trailer for the new Fred Hampton movie with Lakeith Stanfield too, and it looked great.
Yeah. So, there's some good stuff coming out.
It looked great. So just Daniel, you too, just stop talking. Just be great in movies, please.
Yeah, and be quiet. Today's lesson and theme of this podcast is just be quiet.
Just shush. Just shush. It's better for you. Just shush.
You got your thing, you do it well. Just do that. All right, then, LC, we will all see you next week. I'm sure Facebook wants to make sure you know happy baby having and happy birthday. You've been doing some things lately.
It's a lot going on, but thank you very much. Thank you.
All right, have a great weekend.
All right, you too. Take care.
Bye.